What's up, guys? SonicDolphin117 again, back with another character guide for Killer Instinct Season 3. It's been a while, hasn't it? I think the last guide I did was Cinder, and that was back in 2016. Ugh. Sorry about that. Well, I figured you guys were missing some KI action from this channel for a while. I've been uploading a lot of Tokyo Mirage Session stuff, and I recently got Splatoon 2, and I'm just about to start playing it for the first time, which is exciting. But I figured, you know what, I've got some spare time before I go to college, and I figured I should get some more character guides done for some of my favorite characters. Because, you know, people have actually still been commenting on some of those videos and saying, hey, this helped me out. Of course, with the small amount of people who actually see my videos, it's not that common. But it's the first good comment I got in a while, so what are you going to do? So today, we're going to be focusing on Kim Woo, one of my favorite characters, as you guys all know, and not a lot of people play this character. Because a lot of people sleep on her. They're like, this character's not that great, you know? Other characters can do stuff better than her, and it's like... You have to really look at all these characters' tools and really understand the meaning of frame data and all that stuff to really understand how this character is good. And I'll be highlighting everything about this character that I think you guys should be doing, and a few intermediate to expert level strategies. Unlike the Cinder and Glacius videos, I don't really have a cool tech or combo exhibition at the end of this, so this is all going to be hard data stuff. I'll show you some cool things here and there, but don't expect a part where I go silent and just show a bunch of dumb stuff. Maybe people will find that in the future with her, I don't know. But how about we talk about Kim Woo at her base? So, she's a character that greatly rewards solid movement and spacing. I have a script in front of me, so sorry if I sound a bit stilted. I'm trying to read this from the script, not word by word, of course, but... So, she greatly rewards solid movement due to her walk speed, her dash speed, and the normals that she has, and she really depends on how good your spacing is. And because of that, I feel like this character is a character that will help you get better at the game just by playing her. Because you can't go nuts with this character. A lot of her stuff is punishable, unsafe, or just tricky, and so just make sure you keep that in mind. This character is not easy. Absolutely not. Because you really have to learn movement. That is the biggest part of this character. And you'll see why later. Her mix-ups and her close-range pressure are some of the best in the game. She has some of the best pressure buttons, some of the best pressure specials, and mix-up options. So this character does have somewhat linear offense in terms of she can't zoom to the other side of you, she can't flip over you like Eagle can, she can't teleport behind you, she can't do all that stuff. But her linear close-range pressure is incredibly good and should not be underestimated at all. So she's an amazing pressure character. And finally, she hits very, very hard if you manage to build up your levels, because this character doesn't build up levels that quickly, especially if there's scaling behind it. So yeah, she doesn't... Let me actually get rid of this PD and show you guys. Yeah, see, she only got 2 levels there. But if you manage to get all heavies, then of course she'll get to level 4 pretty easily. What was I just about to say? Alright, so this character deals damage in bursts based on ender level. If you get a really high ender level, you can turn it into some amazing damage, but she isn't as good at building ender levels as characters like Orchid or a lot of the Season 1 cast in general. But as you can see, even at level 2 she does significant damage with her most damaging ender, and at level 4, she hits really, really hard even without expended resources, and if you manage to get resources, you're going to regret life. So do not sleep on this character. I tell people this all the time, because whenever I fight some of the higher level players who don't fight this character often, I land like a 65-70% combo. They're like, what the hell? Who am I fighting here? So you should always keep that in mind. This character hurts. But only if she takes the time to really build up her PD with resets or just commit a lot to heavy autos. So, yeah. So just keep that in mind. You might need to reset your opponent a lot just to get some ender levels going. But she's not bad at building PD, and she's got quite a few moves that are good at building it, so don't worry about that too much. So let's talk about her movement overall. Her walk speed isn't the best in the game. Orchid beats her, Shadow Jago beats her, Idol and Warrior beats her, but her walk speed is still really, really good. And a big part of her game plan. Her dashes are also quite quick. Her back dash is pretty good, and her forward dash is quite good as well. So you can do stuff like this. Very, very good stuff. Let me just show you again. A lot of people won't react to that properly. However, the weakness to her movement is her jump. This thing goes really high, and it's quite floaty, meaning if you jump towards someone recklessly, you're going to get anti-aired. It's just going to happen. And she does have some amazing air normals to make up for this, especially this one. But she will still get anti-aired, and she has no way to change trajectory except for dragons, which I'll get into soon. So, and another thing that this jump kind of hurts her in is when someone is trying to grab her on wake up or during pressure, trying to punish them can be a little bit tricky. This button helps with that, but if you're a little late, it can be kind of tight timing, and her more damaging aerial buttons are pretty hard to land when you're trying to punish grabs as well, so she often has to rely on back dashes and grounded punishes. So keep that in mind. So now let's talk about her dragons. So let me just expend them here. So by pairing attacks, by using this move, here, let me show you guys. So let's have the AI. And I'll get into this parry later, don't worry about it. By pairing attacks, by using a certain ender, which I'll get into as well, or through instinct, where she recovers them naturally, she can gain dragons. Now, what do dragons do? Dragons are used by pressing all three kicks, and they use a dash cancel, which can be used off of any move that's started on the ground. Keep that in mind. If she does jump and then attack, she cannot cancel it. But if she jumps, that's only one maneuver that started on the ground, so she can still cancel it. You get the idea? Let me just get them back a bit. And she can also cancel, again, pretty much 95% of the moves. She can cancel this, she can cancel this, she can cancel this. So they're very, very versatile tools, and they can help continue her pressure. They can help cancel moves to make sure they're not unsafe. And she can also do some dumb cross-up stuff. Dragons are pretty wild, but they can also be wasted rather easily if you're quite spendy. And that is pretty bad if you just waste all your dragons and she's stuck as a sitting duck. She's not terrible without her dragons, mind you. But you always want to have at least one dragon on you at all times. Not to mention, this dash is very fast. So you can just do this sometimes, and you'll catch people a lot. And one thing I like to do with dragon cancels is actually like doing a normal from a range it's not going to hit at to try and like make the opponent flinch, and then just do that. Because you can cancel anything on whiff as well. They don't have to block it. So you can just do stuff like that to sort of fake them out. And it works a lot, trust me. So yeah, always keep a dragon on you to keep your mix-ups unreactable, to make your unsafe moves safe, and to do some fancy shenanigans. So her normal selection is incredible. Just in general, her normals are amazing, and that is why you want to make use out of all of them. So let's talk about all the moves all the normals, I should say, that are really good. Standing light punch is your standard jab. There's not much to this. +1, obviously. You can tick throw with it, that kind of stuff. Standing light kick is freaking ridiculous. This move has very little pushback, and it has decent range for a light, and it's +2 on block, which means, let me have him block for a second here. It makes the opponent feel stuck, though, for a second. It's like, you can just sort of spam this, and then eventually just grab whenever you want. And this is just an incredibly good pressure tool to just stick out, because it's the fastest speed for a light, which is 5 frames, 4 startup, 1 active. 4 startup plus the active frame. So it's just really, really good, and you should make use out of it often. Standing medium punch, I think you all pretty much know about this move, is her go-to poke. It's got really good range, and it acts as a situational anti-air, and it can be canceled into these katas, which I will talk about soon. However, it's got a few weaknesses. First off, it's 9 frames, which is a pretty slow for a medium attack in the game. It can be low profiled, so if someone like Jago does a crouch medium kick or Wolf slides under it, yeah, that'll happen. And also, it's -2, so it's not as good as some other characters' pokes in the game, like Ram, who has that giant heavy punch that's +1. But still, it's a very good move just to pester people and just walk in and out of their range with, because a lot of characters can't really compete with this, and this combined with Kim's walk speed is just really annoying. And one thing that you want to keep in mind is that you don't always have to cancel normals. You can just sort of bash people with this and then go into nut stuff. You don't always have to press a button afterward. And this can really control your opponent's habits, which is really, really effective. So use this move often. Standing medium kick. Oh, actually, I want to talk about close standing medium punch first. This is good. This is probably your go-to reset button. And your button for trying to fish for counter hits. So this button is actually +6 on hit, which allows you to link into light attacks, or even itself if you are really good. Like, watch the counter meter on the left. It's a 1-frame link, so it's really hard. So I wouldn't recommend you try this, but it's just there. Whoops. Yeah, it's really hard. There we go. I got it again. Oops. There we go. So you can do that as many times as you want if you're really good. I can't really do that. I know Skate Nate can do it. There we go. I got 3. I'm good. But again, another thing you want to do with this button is reset. So when you're doing the combo and you do a manual, let me just do a manual real quick. You can just go right into grab, because the opponent won't be able to jab you out because you're +6. Or you can do stuff like this and get yourself airborne before the opponent can attack, so it dodges grabs if they're trying to grab you out of whatever your reset is. Or you can just go into a light and keep going. So there's a lot of options that you can get from that button. So if you're going to go for a reset, press that button and then go for it. That's usually what you want to do. And it's also great for counter hits, because let me set counter hit on. Because this has a lot of counter hit stun, to the point where you can link a lot of moves, including this. Although this is breakable right there, so yeah, counter hits are also really important with this character, so fish for them if you can. Standing heavy punch, this is a decent poke. It's not the best one she has. I think this is generally better. It's also -4. It goes into katas, which is nice. But yeah, it's just a decent button. And close heavy punch is her most damaging button. So if you're going to punish mistakes, you want to use this into this. Or this into this, depending on if you have meter or not. Standing heavy kick, let me scroll down a bit on my script. Standing heavy kick is also another great poking tool because it's got good range, deceptive range. It steps her forward, so you can just sort of walk forward and do this. It's not plus on block, so if people see it coming, they're just going to smack you. It's like, hey, what are you doing? But one thing that makes this really, really good as one of your poking tool arsenal is its counter hits are freaking dumb. Like, you can easily confirm off this with anything. Actually, that wasn't a combo. Let me try this. Yeah, that works. So you want to throw this button out along with this one because you can get easy confirms if you react to the counter hit appropriately. And it really gets people to stop pressing buttons too much against you, which is what a footsie character wants, right? They want to be able to dominate the range where they excel in. Any other notes on this? Oh yeah, it's also, of course, the button that you want to use when you're dealing with characters with armor, like Aghanos or Glacius. Kimwu does struggle in general against characters with armor, so you gotta take what you can get and just use her heavy buttons. If you're fighting a TJ player and they're power lining towards you, just put this out a few times, you might catch them. It's worked for me. Let me turn counter hits off, because we're probably not going to talk about them again for a while. So let's talk about her crouching buttons. Crouching light punch. This is a really, really good button. So it starts up in 5 frames, which is the fastest for a light attack. It's got decent range. It's great for tick throws. +1 on block. Mashable. And another great thing about this move is that it recovers in only 7 frames. And what that means is that it allows her to sort of stuff wake-ups a lot better. Because she can check people, and if she sees they backdash, wait, did I set throw text on? Oops. If she sees that they backdash, you can just throw another normal in to try and catch them. Or against characters like Cinder, who have really slow reversals, you can actually throw this out so that it has meaty timing. And hits him if he does nothing, but if he DPs, you actually recover fast enough. And by DP, I mean flash kick, reversals, that kind of thing. I say DP because it's easier for me to say. You actually recover fast enough to block it and punish it. So this should be one of your tools to check wake-ups. It's not great because if the opponent actually blocks it, then you're probably not going to react fast enough to be like, oh crap, I should go for something, right? But it should be one of your options. Actually, wait, did I skip the kicks? Oh, I skipped one of the kicks. Oops. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm out of it. I haven't done one of these in a while. So, stand medium kick is a decent button. Starts up pretty quick for a medium. And it has decent range, but this is generally a better poke. However, this should be your go-to for backdash checks. So if someone grabs you and you backdash, you hit them with this, because this is probably going to be your best button for that. Close medium kick, however, is really, really good because it's +1 on block, has the priority of a medium, and starts up the fastest for a medium button, which is 6 frames. So you want to be able to use this a lot. And you can even go for some dumb stuff like... I'm trying to do it. There we go. There's some fun stuff you can do with that if you know the tricks. So, sorry about skipping that button, I'm sorry. It was really small on my list, so I missed it. So let's move on to Crouch Medium Punch. This should be your closer range poke. It's pretty quick at 7 frames. Although, the problem with it is that it's rather minus at -6, so you always want to make sure you cancel it. But luckily, enemies can't low profile this. So just be ready to cancel this one. Into katas is usually the best bet because it's the safest option. Or you can do it in your pressure specials, which is good. So go for this a lot at the range where it's effective, and go for this at slightly farther away. As well as this, obviously. Don't forget about this button. This button's great, even though it doesn't do great damage. So, crouching heavy punch. This is Kimu's dedicated anti-air. Let me have Fulgore jump here. This should be your go-to anti-air, and it's a lot better than it looks. It actually covers over your head pretty well, and it's fast enough. It's actually 9 frames, which for a heavy isn't bad. And it also leads to juggles. So you can do some fun stuff. So that should be your go-to anti-air, and her anti-airs hit hard, which you'll find out later. This is also a really good button for meeting people on Wake Up, because this can stuff backdashes, and with meaty timing be plus on blocks. You can do stuff like this. Like if you do it early, then you can catch backdashes, but if you do it late... Wait, let me show you. So, if you do it around here, then you'll probably catch a lot of backdashes, but if you do it around here, where the hitbox just goes away, you're actually plus on block. Sorry, I'm really rusty with this stuff. Yeah, stuff like that. It's easier against bigger characters. So you don't always have to cancel this, although if you do it raw, it's -4, so you don't want that to happen. So you want it to do it there, and it's like +3 if you do it right. I know these guides are rather sloppy, but I'm just doing the best I can. Practicing 1-hour skits is hard. So moving on to Crouch Light Kick and Crouch Medium Kick. These are her low buttons, and unfortunately there's really not much else to say about that. This has better speed and range, and, well, actually it's the same speed, but it has better range, and this is your low mix-up. Really nothing else to say about that. Crouch Heavy Kick, pff, don't use this. This is her normal sweep, and it's terrible. It's got really bad range, -4 on block. Yeah, just don't do it. She has better options at every scenario you'd want to use that button, even though it has decent startup. So how about we move on to Kim's jumping normals, and she has got really good ones. Her jump light punch isn't anything to talk about. Jump media kick isn't anything to talk about either, so don't hear me mentioning those. But her other ones are really good. So jump light kick is pretty decent. It hits below her, and it's very quick. A lot of people like to do them for these scenarios, to try and catch people off guard and prevent punishes, although people still can punish you for that. So be wary. So this is your quick option. Not a good air-to-air, though. Jump medium punch. This is a fantastic button because it hits cross-up, is very fast. It's only 7 frames. And it's great air-to-air. You can jump back with this and pretty much beat a lot of jumping in options. And it's just a really, really good button. It can also be used for stuff like this, to try and tag people from a distance. And it's just really, really good button. And jump heavy punch, I'm pretty sure this button speaks for itself. It reaches the furthest below Kim, which makes punishing grabs the easiest, although still kind of tricky. Hits cross up, is very, very deep. And it also juggles as well. So let me show you that in the corner. You can do stuff like that. You won't see that too often until I get to the juggle stuff later. But yeah, it's a really, really excellent air normal, which sort of makes up for her bad jump. And finally, we have Jump Heavy Kick, which is a button I don't see enough people using. It's not that fast. It's at 13 frames. And its hitbox isn't anything too impressive, but it hits hard. That was one auto after one aerial. That's 32%. This is really, really good. So if you have the chance, use this button. It also pretty much spikes people to the ground, which isn't anything great. But yeah, you can find some uses for that. It's only a soft knockdown, so don't expect much from it. So how about we talk about her command normals? So this is Dragon Sweep, down forward heavy kick. This is the sweep you should be using. You might be saying it's really, really slow, right? It's at 15 frames. Why would I use this? Well, let me give you a few reasons. One, this thing has really deceptive range. Hits you at about the same range this thing does. And it sweeps people, which makes it her furthest ranging low. And so basically, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my words, but it's also really good after wall splats to do this to start your setups. So you want to make use of that. And also, one thing that's great about this button is that it can be canceled into from any normal. Very similar to Shago's overhead. So you can do this, you can do this, oops. Or you can just do this, why not? You can do stuff like this. So yeah, it's a really, really good button. It is -5 on block, so if you do this recklessly, you're going to get punished, but if you space it properly, you should be okay. And you can also dash cancel this, so you don't have to worry too much about it. And this does a really good job giving her a mix-up game at range after buttons like this. Again, don't always go for this, you know, sometimes just throw this out by itself, but go for this every once in a while to trip people up. And now let's talk about, oh my god, I wrote a long section on this. Let's talk about these katas. So let me read this off the script so I don't ramble on too much. If Kim presses medium punch or heavy punch after any medium punch or heavy punch normal, which means any of these, or any of these, then she will continue with 2 more kata strikes, and this can be mixed up, so and done, and repeated infinitely. So she does medium, heavy, medium, heavy, medium, 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 heavy, heavy, heavy. You get the idea. She can do this as long as she pleases. And the medium punch, man, I cannot speak. The medium punch moves her backwards always, and the heavy punch moves her forwards, or jumps her forwards is a better statement, because it's not quite as steady. And each of the strengths, medium punch and heavy punch, have 2 variations to the move. So the first medium punch variation, which is this, is +2 on block, and is just really, really good for stuff like this. You can just step forward and grab someone. You could go for a low afterward because you're plus, so unless they do a really quick jab, they're not beating you. And it's probably your best mix-up option out of this. Stuff like that. Makes it easy to confirm stuff. It's just a really, really good thing. And also helps her retreat really well. She can just walk away with it, too. And the second medium punch variation, which is the last 2 hits you saw right there, suck. -22. Yeah. Don't use this. You should always cancel this if you have the chance. You should never let this rock. You should just continue the katas or cancel it. Don't let that rock. And it also just recovers very bad on whiff. See that? So you don't want to leave that hanging. In the heavy punch versions, this is the first one. This is -3 on block, which means that characters like Jago can reversal you if you don't cancel it into your own reversal or something like that. They'll just smack you out of it. And the second heavy punch variation, which is this, is pretty weird, is also -3 on block, but the problem with it is that between the two hits, those last two right there, there's actually a gap that enemies can reversal you through, and that's bad for you. And I don't know if you can... Yeah, you can't cancel in the middle of it, so you're pretty much wide open. So don't use that against characters that have reversals like Fulgore over here. One thing to note is that katas have special move levels of priority, so they will trade or beat out with pretty much anything in the game except shadow moves. So let's say Fulgore sticks out his leg, like with a medium or a heavy. This is going to straight up beat it. It's just going to straight up hit him and you're not going to get interrupted. And if he does a special move, so I'll have him charge up a Blade Dash. So let's see if I can get... See that? That shouldn't normally happen. Normally his special will just beat me out, but we both got hit because these have the same level of priority, grounded special. So they're just really, really good. They're also really good for movement as well. Just backing yourself off the stage, or just jumping forward when your opponent doesn't expect it. It's just a really, really good tool. And it's also great for catching backdashes, because you can hit them with this, and if you see they backdash, then you can just chase after them with the heavy version. And if you're fighting characters with slower backdashes like Sadira or Cinder, who have more recovery on their backdashes than you think, you can actually do late meaty with this, and if they backdash, you can just chase after them. So this leads to an option select where if they don't backdash, here, let me show you. So if you mash back, let's say you did this special, which I'll get into later. If they don't get hit by it, then you're obviously going to go into katas, right? Which means that they're going to chase after them. So if they backdashed and dodged your move... Oops, I am so bad at this. If they backdashed and dodged it, then you will chase after them with katas. Why am I so bad? I'm so rusty. There we go. But if they get hit by it, then they get hit by this. So that's one of her main option selects against those characters, and it makes these katas really good in pressure, because the problem with the heavy katas, though, is that there is a gap between each one, where the opponent can easily jab you out. Like, each set of 2 hits, you could just get smacked by any jab. So that's kind of bad, but if you're willing to believe that the character's going to backdash during your pressure, this is great for getting really solid damage and punishing them for it. There's more. These katas are special cancelable even on whiff. The medium punch versions are cancelable at any time, and the heavy punch ones are only cancelable near the end. You can't do it like beginning. Like, I'm mashing it here, and it only comes out there. Same with the second variation. But mediums, you can just do this whenever you want. And these really help Kimwoo's movement around the stage, because you can do stuff like this. Axe kick forward. Back up very, very slightly until you're right in the right range you want to be, and then do this. It's really, really good, but the best part of this is that it allows her to blow up shadow counters. Now, this is going to be a little bit hard for me to show off, because the training mode isn't really good for this. If I had another person with me, this would be a lot easier. But essentially, if you see someone counter, shadow counter the second hit of this, or any of the hits of the medium version, then you can actually cancel into another move to try and beat out their shadow counter. So you can cancel into stuff like this grab move I'll talk about later, to try and just grab them straight out of the state, or you can cancel it into this to straight up hit them if you're worried that you're not going to catch them in time, or you can do stuff like this to get yourself airborne so that their shadow counter doesn't hit you on the ground. So you should always use that to mess up your opponent's shadow counter attempts. I can't really show that off, which is unfortunate, because I don't have master hands, so sorry about that. But yeah, they blow up shadow counters super hard. They can still shadow counter the first hit of heavies, the first approaching hit of each of the pairs, and you won't be able to stop them. But if they manage to shadow counter the second hit, just cancel it into a grab and stop them. It works. And it adds a ton of pressure possibilities as well, because you can cancel it into overhead, you can cancel it into low, you can back up a bit and frame trap them, because you can cancel them again at any time, so you can just frame trap them whenever you feel like it with that. Or you could back up to the space that you want to be and hit them with that. It's very, very good tool. Not a lot of people made use of this back when the character first came out. I'm like, why aren't you using this? This seems so, like, in-depth and interesting. Like, why aren't you guys making use of this incredible tool? So, I think it's really, really good. Whew. Alright, so how about we talk about her grab options? She actually has two normal grabs. The first one is her standard grab, light punch, light kick. Nothing too remarkable about these grabs. You know, they knock the opponent down, set them a small distance away, hard knockdown, you know. They are good for some setups. This is a good safe jump setup right here. So you might want to use that a bit. But other than that, it's not great. I use it in the corner just to bug people because her grab range is actually... It doesn't look good, but trust me, it's good. Like, her grab range will get people a ton. Oops. Like, her tick throw game is ridiculous with this thing. And I love going to the corner and just grabbing people infinitely with this kata string setup. It works. People fall for this. It's amazing. And her second grab option is quarter circle back light punch and light kick. It doesn't look very different, does it? Well, it's called Dragon Grasp, and it starts a combo and switches sides. And you can manual into any strength after it. Oops, wait. So you can manual any strength you want. And you can also use this during combos as a linker, which is her main combo trait. And the great thing about this is that it can be canceled into like a special move, which is why this kata shadow counter trick works. Because you can cancel the end of this and just grab people. So if you're trying to go for grab resets, it's up to you whether you want to go for the normal one for solid damage and a setup, or if you want to go for this one for a combo. It all depends on you. The scaling is kind of bad on this, so watch out for that, but yeah, make use of that move. It's really, really good. So now let's talk about Kim Woo's special moves. So the first off, Firecracker, quarter circle back punch. So this is a 2-hit swing that is +2 on block. Although the light one is, and the medium one, actually, I got this wrong. The light one and the medium one are +1, but the heavy version is +2. The heavy version is the one you want to use in pressure anyway. And the, wait. So this is +2 on block. The other versions are +1. The light punch version keeps her steady, and you can repeat this as much as you want just by mashing the button. The medium version steps her backward, and the heavy version is the more +1 that steps her forward. And you also, if you keep mashing this, which is kind of interesting, you'll see that the advantage you get is actually higher. You can see that I'm now +4 because I did a few extra hits. You're not going to be making use of that often, but it's there if you want to try something. What else? This move is great as a meaty. Why is he still blocking? I find this button is great as a meaty because it catches jumps, it catches backdashes really well, and in the corner it's especially good because you can just sort of mess people up with it. It is weak to reversals though because people will see it and be like, I'll just hit you, right? And you should also be sure to watch for shadow counters because this is very easy to shadow counter. But you can cancel it early to try and bait people. So there's that. Now, a big aspect of this move is its reflecting properties. So let's have Fulgor shoot some fireballs. So if you manage to hit the fireball with the Firecracker move, it will send back a Dragon Cannon. And this beats a lot of projectiles, it staggers the opponent, only get some dragons through instinct. And you can also confirm into it if you have dragons as well. Oops, wait. So yeah, it can do stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And the different versions change what angle that they fly in. So the light version is straight ahead. The medium version sends it slightly upwards, which is great against Cinder, by the way. And the heavy version is really situational. You won't really use this against maybe Sadira. So yeah, there's that. So this is pretty much her anti-zoning tool. A lot of characters, including Jago, Fulgor, Shadow Jago, they can't really zone her out that effectively because of this. Fulgor, of course, can use Eye Laser, which can't be reflected as easily. But this works wonders against characters like Cinder, who can't really stick bombs on her if you're good with this, and will just keep getting smacked out of the air because you're using the medium version if he tries to jump it. So this is a really good tool, but it won't win you matches, right? Like, it's not going to change the tide. Oops, sorry for the voice crack. It's not going to change the tide of battle for you. It's just going to help pester the opponent and make them have to come in on you if you have the life lead. And remember, if you're doing this in the middle of this, you can just reflect it. Because, again, whiff canceling them. What else? You also have to watch out for projectile invincible moves. Let me show you that. Oops. Why are you doing this? Okay, what? Oops. There we go. And sorry about that noise that you're hearing from the game. That's Fulgor's meter being built up in training mode. It's annoying, but I can't really do anything about that. I wanted to pick Fulgor for this for a few reasons, so... How about we talk about how this move can extend juggles as well. So let's have him jump. The heavy version is usually your best bet. You can use the medium version, but it makes linking other stuff harder. So keep that in mind. Now talking about it as a linker, this move builds a pretty low amount of KV, but it's also really easy to break. However, it can be mixed in with a lot of your manuals to make it really... Oops. To make it look really confusing. And I also forgot to mention this, but katas can also be used as manuals as well. Not a big thing, but I like to do it a lot, especially for resets too. Even though I still think this is the best option. Close medium punch, that is. So, what else? The Ender version restores certain certain attributes based on, well, not attributes, certain resources based on the version used. So let me set my health lower. So the level 1 version gives you a dragon. That's it. The level 2 version... Oops, that's not level 2. Restores... Actually, I should deplete all my resources. So, level 1... Oh my god, what am I doing? Level 1, dragon. Level 2, dragon and meter. As you saw, little Pip showed up right down there. Level 3, oh, oops, I did ultra. For God's sakes. It restores meter, health, and instinct. So let me turn off regenerate health. I think that's what kept that from showing up. You can see I got a little bit of health there. Let me turn it back on so Fulgore doesn't die on me. And the level 4 version restores health, meter, dragon, and instinct, as you saw that little bit right there. So it's your resource ender, but the problem with this ender is two things. One, look at the pitiful damage it does. Not much more than what you got in PD, right? And the second thing is that it pushes you away at a distance that Kim doesn't usually want to be at. She wants to be more around here. She doesn't want to be back here. So it's a pretty situational ender. Although you can use it in the corner and do stuff like this because you're a little bit closer. But yeah, you don't want to use this too often. Although there is one trick you can do with Dragon Grasp. Oops, I did that wrong. Why am I... Did they fix it? It used to be like a reversed input because of bugs. There we go. So you can get that little extra dragon at the end there if you feel like it. So yeah, that's it for Firecracker. Now let's talk about Shadow Firecracker. Shadow Firecracker steps her forward and hits 5 times. It's pretty simple. The problem with this move is that it is minus 13. I thought it was minus 7, but geez. Some of my notes are incorrect here. Yeah, this is really bad. When I say all my notes are incorrect, I just meant like small frame data stuff. I know what I'm talking about in general, I hope. So this is really not a good pressure tool. You're gonna get shadow countered. You know, you can always cancel it, but people can just shadow counter the first 2 hits anyway, so you're just gonna get bopped by it. So you really shouldn't use it during pressure, but it also is the hardest hitting and easiest, well, not hardest hitting, but it's the easiest to confirm into off of your heavy button, so that should be your optimal punish, like I said earlier. Now, here's the unique thing about this. This move has a small amount of projectile invulnerability, believe it or not. And if it collides with certain projectiles, let's have Fulgore send his beams at me again. It sends dragons in all 3 directions that the normal Firecracker could send them. Let's have him stop for a minute. Now, this move doesn't seem practical, right? Like, you can't use it during pressure, and sending out 3 dragons doesn't really seem like a big deal, right? But it's really, really good for some little hidden reasons. First off, this should be your answer against fireballs up close, because it can be hard to reflect fireballs on reaction at mid-range, because this move has a bit of startup. So with the extra projectile invulnerability, it makes it easier to reflect these. And number 2, you can actually use a dragon to confirm into a combo from close range, and the damage that the 3 dragons do if they hit is pretty solid. So let's have... You can just throw it at me. Oh, oops. I set it to record, my bad. See, that's not bad damage right there. But here's the big thing, and this is very matchup specific. If Kim manages to reflect a bunch of projectiles at once against characters like Mira, Eagle, and maybe Fulgor, I'm about to test it out here, the amount of damage all the dragons do if they hit on the same frame is ridiculous. And I mean utterly ridiculous. So let's have Fulgor back up a bit. Yeah, I don't think you can really do it against Fulgor. Yeah, see the damage that did? So I'm trying to time it right so I get all 3 of them. See the damage? That was like, what, 30? Like 25, 30? And she can dash cancel into a combo. Keep that in mind. And against Mira's bats, she can actually get upwards of like 50. She can get like 50% if she just reflects bats, which is absolutely dumb. Look at that. It starts with some KV, sure, but that was one auto double, 40%. Actually, did I do that right? That was weird. Oh, that was really weird. What the hell? I'm sorry. It's really hard to do this with Fulgor. Yeah, that wasn't even right. I only reflected one of them. Very, very, very situational, but very, very, very good if you take advantage of it. Against Mira, she pretty much can't send bats against you after a normal, because if you reflect them, 50% raw and you get a combo. It's not a full combo because of the KV, but damn, it's really, really good. So that should be your answer to fireballs at close range, because Kimwoo's floaty jump and the fact that this Firecracker is a bit on the slow side makes dealing fireballs up close really a pain. So make use of this whenever you can. And if you have, and make sure you have a dragon too, because it can leave you open if you mess up. And you want to be able to confirm into a combo. So now let's talk about Dragon Kick. Quarter circle forward kick. This move launches Kim quickly across the screen with her foot extended, and the different versions change the angle. So the light version goes about that far, the medium version higher, and the heavy version sends her way high. The kick starts up in 13 frames, so it is a bit slow, and you're going to need good reactions and substantial practice to really make use of this move. Because throwing it out willy-nilly will get you blocked and punished, because this thing is minus 48. You're going to get smacked if you throw this out ruthlessly. You can do it every once in a while, because it's important to let the enemy know that you're willing to swing so that they don't press buttons in neutral against you. But at the same time, don't do it too often, because you're just going to get smacked for it. Even if you have a dragon and you try and cancel it, like let me have him block here. You try and cancel it, like they can jab you and punish you for that. It's not as bad a punish as if you just landed, but it's still not something you want. Not at all. What else? However, if you land it, I think we all know where this is going. Damage, like let me get him to not block. Damage is about 12%, and if it's on counter hit, about 15. So this is a really, really good move that should be used on reaction to stuff if you can possibly manage it. And this move also counts as Kim being airborne around frame 5, I believe. So it can dodge grabs and catch backdashes pretty well, but you really shouldn't be using it for that. You should be using it from over here where grabs aren't a threat. But, you know, if you see Gargos run up trying to grab you, you can always just kick him in the face. It works. This move... what else? This move also has really low priority. The fact of the matter is, the CPU can kind of knock you out of it really easily. So let's see if this happens. Okay, no. Well, it beats light punches. But let me show you guys... Let me see if I can get him to, like, jump and do stuff. It's kind of hard to show off, but you're going to notice a lot of the time that you're going to get knocked out of this move. I'm doing it way too early before his hitbox comes out. Yeah, see that? You're just going to get smacked. Even after the active frame starts. So you need to be careful about using this as an anti-air, because it's not as easy to anti-air with as you think. But this is a great move regardless for punishing heavier buttons, and for punishing jumping opponents who like to jump backwards. I'm so bad at this. Like that. It has some really good range. It's not full screen, but what can you do? You can't make it all great. It's a very, very good move, and it can really make your opponent frustrated and neutral. You can also counter Dragon Kick in neutral and cancel it into this like I showed you to really close the distance really well. You can also go for stuff like this to try and go for some overheads. I think if you're really good, you could go for some cross-ups. Let me get the dragon back. You know, if you've got really good spacing, you can make use of that. You can also use Dragon Cancel on the kick after it lands and do a combo off of it. It's kind of tricky, but you can do it, and it does very significant damage for the first hit of a combo. You can even continue combos with it if you have more dragons to spare and if you're willing to spend. So yeah, that can lead to some really, really, really damaging juggles, which you will see in just a few moments. Man, this guide has already gone on a long time. So Shadow Dragon Kick is Kim's reversal. Starts up in 5 frames, and it hits pretty damn hard. This is actually a really amazing reversal. First, its startup speed is good for punishing stuff and for avoiding option selects. It does the highest damage out of any reversal in the game, 18%. And it deals a really significant amount of PD or potential damage. And if you have dragons, this move becomes ridiculous, because then you can start doing combos after it. And if you do another one, let me actually get some more dragons here, and let me get rid of his PD. And if you do a second Dragon Kick because you decide to save the meter for this, people are going to question their life decisions. It's really, really, really good as an opener, even though it puts you in a juggle state, because if you have the meter to cash it out, it's going to hurt so much, even if you don't add much in between. Like, let me show you. I don't have another dragon, I'm dumb. One breakpoint. 50%, 2 meters. That's really, really good. And even if you don't have another meter to cash it out, let me actually get rid of his PD again. Why the heck is she doing that? Ugh. You can still add a ton of PD to work with for when you want to get those big cash outs done. And what else? One thing that's also great about this is that it is unsafe, obviously, but you can cancel it and be up to about plus 15 with this, which is really, really crazy. You can also cancel it late and go for cross-ups as well if the opponent is too slow to punish you, which pretty much everyone is. No one tries to punish her on the way up. What else? Also, this is a very, very situational thing. You're not going to see this often at all. But against certain characters with certain setups, or just happens every once in a while in a match and it's freaking hilarious, if you manage to hit just the second hit of the Shadow Dragon kick, it hits so damn hard. I'll show you. Do you want to be hit by that? I don't think you do. You can actually do it on reaction to the laser as well, so let me actually get close to him. Although, he's actually a bit too close on me. Let's actually do the light version, since that's the one everyone's doing now. Rep Fulgore 2017, I guess. Will you please do what I actually told you to do? Okay, that was a bit on the early side. Will you stop, please? Okay, maybe I should a little bit. Because most Fulgores don't do it immediately. Alright. Okay, maybe not. I guess this doesn't work against Fulgore as much anymore because people don't do the heavy version anymore. Also, I don't know why he's taunting. I didn't get him to do that, did I? But either way, let me get him to do the heavy version again. If people decide to do this and you block it for whatever reason, I don't know why they would. Yeah, you can hit them really, really hard. And it'll happen with other characters too. I've seen it happen against Cinder, against Rash. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But it has low priority, so don't expect to just go for it. Like, unless you go for specific setups like the one I just showed you, don't try it. If you're in the corner, if you're bashing against someone in the corner, and you see them do a shadow reversal, you can also do it on reaction to that and try and land it. But other than that, you pretty much shouldn't go for this. It'll just happen, you'll laugh, and it'll be fun. The main flaw with this move is that the hitbox is bad. That looked like it should have hit, right? But yeah, it's got a pretty bad hitbox, and people can just stand out of range and jump over you. Should they choose to try and bait this out. Sorry about that phone. I don't know why no one in my house is answering it. But, yeah, so... But the thing is about this is that if they try and stand here, Fulgore can't do an overhead from this distance, right? So if they choose to bait out the DP, they're going to lose out on some mix-up options. And sometimes it's a good idea to just throw out this on Wake Up because, you know, why not? They're scared of you at that point. And in combos, this only works as an ender. But it does a lot of damage no matter what ender level it is. But of course, level 4, this level 3 is really good. And level 4, this freaking hurts. And the Shadow damage ender, which is Shadow Dragon Kick, is probably one of the best damage enders in the game. It's not... Well, actually, that might be a lie, because statistically it might not be the best, but it looks like it's the best, because holy crap, look at that. And of course, when it comes to juggles, let me show you guys one of my favorite juggles to do with this. That you can mix up the buttons up, by the way. There was no PD there, guys. This character's ridiculous. And I don't know why people think otherwise. So now let's have Kim's next special move, which is quarter circle back kick, which is called Dragon Dance. And each of these 3 versions are very different, so I'm going to focus on each of them. So, damn it, this note thing is trash. I need to go down. The light kick version is an axe kick that's an overhead and is -3 on block. So characters like Jago and Fogor can punish you for using this, but of course you can cancel it. It doesn't have a lot of hit stun, so... Well, not a lot of hit stun, but a lot of block stun, so you might still get smacked in the face for trying to dash cancel it. But regardless, it's still a really good move, and it hits from a surprisingly good range, and it adds to our mix-up options. And it also goes airborne at around frame 5, which is why this reset is so good, because it means that grabs can't beat her when she does it there. However, she can be grabbed right before she lands, which is a little annoying. Well, not right before she lands, but right before the hitbox comes out, so that can be a little annoying, but it'll only happen every once in a while. And it can also be used for juggles as well, to continue them. So there's that. What else? Oh, one last thing that's not that great about this move, but you should know it anyway, is that it low profiles her. And against Jago, this literally means he can't shadow counter her when she triggers it with this move, because he will just sail right over her, because his wind kick doesn't hit low characters. So he'll just sail right over her, which is pretty funny. The medium kick version is similar to Jago's double roundhouse. It's very quick, +2 on block, and probably your best pressure option. Great meaty on wake up as well, like Firecracker was. Just be wary of shadow counters and be sure to cancel it every once in a while. This should be your go-to close range special. I know I'm not spending a lot of time on it, but there's really not much to explain. It's a really good pressure move. And the heavy version is a 2-hit kick that has deceptive range. About around here. Now, it's -3, actually -2, if you do it from the first active frame. Like, the first time the hitboxes pop up and they hit, it's -2. But, if you properly space this, or you do it at meaty timing... So it's easiest to do after this. If you do it with meaty timing, or you properly space it, it actually becomes plus on block, meaning that you can continue with pressure like this, which can trip people up. I think the best button to go for after this is this, or this. And it's also great for chasing back dashes. It's great for frame traps using this move. It's just a very, very, very good move that you need to master spacing in order to really make full use out of. This move can be used as a linker in combos, and it's the axe kick version. It deals more KV than Firecracker, but it's also harder to break from my experience, because it's less slow and the different strengths are harder to tell. And the ender version is the wall splat that I was showing you guys earlier, which does decent damage and sets up for her dumb shit. Shadow Dragon Dance is like the overhead, and it's her projectile invulnerable move, and it covers a very good portion of the screen. It's quite a far range move, and it's also grab invulnerable from startup, so that can counter a lot of like things like Dark Annihilation. If Shadow Jago's sent flying at you, you can actually just trigger this, and the moment this is triggered, he can't hit you with it, and you'll get a full combo punish. This is also a very highly damaging Shadow Linker in combos, and it's very quick. Granted, easy to break, but if you want to rack up the damage and you have more room for it, then use that. Of course, Shadow Dragon Kick is still probably a go-to option for this instead. But still, if you have that extra meter and you want to sink it in, then you should. However, the problem with this, actually there's one more thing I want to know, is that all the hits of this are overheads. Which means that some opponents might accidentally crouch block while they're getting hit by it, which means that you'll open them up and get a combo. However, there's a few problems with this move. One, let me get a dragon here. It's -7 on block, so you will get jab punished for this if it's blocked successfully. And even if you cancel it, there's not a lot of hit stun, or block stun, I should say. So you'll probably still get smacked anyway. You can close the distance with this, but why would you waste a meter on that when you can just do this? Just use the medium punch to your use. And finally, it's got really slow startup for a projectile invulnerable move. So you're going to end up not being able to beat a lot of strategies. Like, if you see Glacius summon a Hail, you better be quick on this, because otherwise you're going to miss it, he's going to block you, and he's going to punish you. That is a big deal, and it really limits the usability of this move. And up close, when you're trying to react to fireballs, I really think this is just the better option for you if you have a dragon. Risking this just usually isn't the best idea. But it's there if you want to use it. And finally, before we get into the second part of her instinct, we're going to talk about her parry, which is all 3 punches. This puts Kim in a stance, and the catch window is 10 frames, I believe. And it's horribly unsafe if she just whiffs it. It's even more unsafe than Hisako's, if I'm correct. And it's laughably punishable. People can just go up and smack her if they see her do this. If any other move besides a grab hits the parry, which includes... normal attacks, which are mid, high, or low, as well as projectiles. If they hit the parry, then a blue light explodes from her, and she gets a dragon from it. It also does about 6% damage to the opponent. So let me record that. Yeah, the catch window is really bad. So about 6%. Yeah, the catch window is garbage, but you should still use this if you have good timing. And if it counters someone in the air, it will actually hard knockdown them. Let me re-record that. So that's a hard knockdown. You can go for stuff. It's not great to get a setup after this, but it's something significant. Now, if Kim gets hit by something really quickly after she gets the dragon from the parry, she will actually not get the dragon because it didn't have enough time to spawn. This was added later on to prevent some dumb stuff, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, this thing is really important for predicting your opponent's habits. And on the ground, this thing has more uses. So you can see... that it staggers the opponent. But the problem is, if you don't do anything, then it's just pretty much 0. You both are pretty much even with each other. However, you can dash cancel it if you have one dragon before parrying. If you have no dragons before parrying, you're not going to get the dash cancel. But if you do, you can dash cancel and go into a combo, which is great. Which makes this really threatening. And against characters like Fulgor, who like to do random Shadow Blade dash a lot of the time because it's plus on block, why wouldn't they do it? Now they have to worry because if they try and throw this out against you, you can just parry them and do a combo, which makes this really threatening. What the hell are you doing? You're doing the old recording. What the hell? You can just go into combo and just go nuts. And you get the dragon from the parry, so you're not actually wasting a dragon to do that dash cancel. So if you have max dragons, there's really no reason not to do it. And because the parry explosion is really small, and sometimes it will whiff characters if they do long pokes or projectiles against her, she can still dash cancel to try and make it so she doesn't have to get punished for it. What else? But yeah, this is really important because it helps her deal with cross-ups and with moves that are thrown out against her, like shadows. If you see someone throw a shadow against you, just parry it and beat their ass. It's really, really good. And it also can piss people off because you can do it on their wake up like, haha, I read you. Or you can make people scared to press buttons. So it's all a mind game, but again, very punishable, so use it sparingly. And finally for this guide, we're going to talk about Kimwoo's Instinct mode. Now, you already know from throughout this guide that it restores her dragons. Let me set it to infinite. Got what it takes to be infinite. So, it infinitely restores her dragons every few seconds, no matter what's happening to her. Early in Season 3, there was a bug where she actually wouldn't gain dragons if she was in stun. Luckily, that's gone now, so she can constantly gain dragons, which means that she doesn't waste this instinct very easily. You can still pop this and it will always be useful, even if you don't make much out of it. And because of instinct activation, she can actually take advantage of it because she can see what the opponent is doing and perform a parry or a reversal or just whatever she wants. It's very similar to when Hisako activates instinct and pretty much gets a free combo from it if the opponent is close to her. Now, the second part of Kim's instinct are dragon cannons, which are heavy punch, heavy kick. She will expend a dragon to send a dragon cannon flying across the screen. These act the same way the Firecracker dragons do. They beat a lot of projectiles and they stagger the opponent, which means you can confirm into stuff like this. Unfortunately, this is minus 11 on block, so you don't want to be using this in pressure. You should save other stuff for that. But you can use it in combos to a good extent. Let me try and do something cool. You can actually whiff a normal and bait lockouts this way, which is really cool. And do stuff like that. Do some manual specials, whatever you really want. And of course, the free dragons means you can do more of this crap. But the best part about dragon cannons is that they can be used to cancel normals very similar to the likes normals and specials, very similar to dash cancels. They can't be used in the air at all, unlike dragon cancels, which can be used after a jump or dragon kick. You can't do that with dragon cannons. But you can use it to beat shadow counters because the opponent pretty much can't shadow counter you. Like, if you see the counter sparks, just throw this out, because it'll beat the shadow counter before it can even come out. And again, you can do this after anything. You know, jump in and do this, dragon cannon. Even if they shadow counter it. Do this, dragon cannon. You know? And that's something that you can only do outside of Instinct with katas and canceling it into Dragon Grasp. But in Instinct, nothing on the ground is shadow counterable because she'll just send a dragon at you and get a free combo for it. So that is what makes this really, really scary. So her Instinct is very, very excellent. And I'm sorry that I can't show off the shadow counter stuff because, you know, it's just not that easy for me when I'm the only person doing this. So either way, guys, that's it for the Kim guide. I think this character is actually really, really, really good. And I think more people should use her. And remember, this character is all about movements, all about spacing. Don't let the fact that I spent most of this video talking about specials confuse you. You can get a lot away with just fishing for counter hits with this button, just annoying people with this button, occasionally going for mix-ups afterward, going for resets. Stuff like that, going for corner resets. And stuff like that. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. I hope this helped you out. I haven't done a guide in a while, nor have I even played KI in a while. So, I hope this was still helpful to you regardless. And I hope you all have a good night, take care, and thank you for sticking it out with me.